If you're watching this on the Legacy of Survival channel, make sure you're subscribed right now, because what you're about to hear is the kind of information even seasoned historians and long-time preppers rarely encounter. For the next minute, let me hold your attention with this. During the Second World War, families on every front, Allied, Axis and occupied territories, relied on domestic tricks so ingenious and so quietly practiced that many never made it into official records, museum archives, or survival manuals. These weren't headline strategies. These were the clever, gritty, kitchen table adaptations that kept homes functioning when resources collapsed. And today, you're going to learn 5 of the rarest ones, along with exactly how you can use them in a modern survival context. So settle in, because if you're serious about history, these are the kinds of details that sharpen your understanding and strengthen your readiness as a survivalist. Let's start with how people turned ordinary newspaper into a multi-purpose survival tool. Newspapers were far more than reading material during the war. In homes from London to Leningrad, people used old papers as an alternative to insulation, container liners, emergency fuel, and even garden reinforcement. The most obscure technique was paper layering, a method where families brush sheets with a thin slurry made from flour and water, then press them together into thick panels. Once dried, these panels acted as lightweight thermal barriers. You could tack them behind a bed's headboard to soften cold walls or wrap them around a drafty doorframe. A modern survivalist could replicate this by mixing half a cup of flour with 2 cups of warm water, brushing it onto sheets, layering them into stacks of 10 or 15 pages, and drying them overnight. The result isn't pretty, but it's effective, and it's almost weightless. If your home heating ever fails, or you need insulation in a shed or temporary shelter, this technique works exactly as well today as it did in 1942. Another forgotten wartime trick was the way households preserved perishables without refrigeration by using evaporative cooling jars. While Zia pots from North Africa are better known, European civilians improvised a similar concept on a smaller scale. They nested a food jar inside a slightly larger clay pot, packed damp sand between the walls, and shaded the entire setup near a window with regular airflow. As the water evaporated, the inner jar cooled significantly. Housewives in rural France used this trick to store butter for days longer than usual, and families in the Balkans used it to prevent milk from spoiling. To apply this today, you need 2 unglazed clay pots, one fitting inside the other, sand and water. Fill the gap with sand, saturate it fully, place your perishables in the inner jar, and leave the pot where breezes can reach it. Even in hot climates, you'll often see drops of 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. In a grid-down scenario, this can be the difference between keeping and losing your food supply. A third hack involved creating durable, long-burning wicks from materials that were never intended for fire-making. With shortages of paraffin, lamp oil and cotton during the war, resourceful civilians created composite wicks by tightly braiding together strips of orange or lemon peel. The natural oils in citrus skins burn slowly, and when the strips are dried thoroughly and twisted into cord, they create a wick that can burn for hours when dipped into rendered fat or salvaged grease. British households used this method during those severe blackout restrictions when every drop of fuel mattered. To recreate this today, peel several citrus fruits in long strips, dry them until they are leathery, braid them firmly, and dip the braid into melted tallow or vegetable shortening before placing it into a jar lamp. It produces a steady low flame and is particularly useful in emergency lighting kits, especially when traditional wicks aren't available. One of the rarest homefront techniques was the practice of hidden barrel composting to maximize nutrient recycling in tiny apartment courtyards. Urban families in Germany, Poland, Denmark, and the Soviet Union struggled with restricted space and limited access to fertilizers. To overcome this, they buried metal or wooden barrels with multiple drilled holes, then layered kitchen scraps inside with soil. Worms and microorganisms moved freely through the holes while the barrel structure kept rats and pests out. After several months, the decomposed compost inside could be shoveled directly into small garden beds or window box gardens. This approach let families produce nutrient-rich soil without attracting unwanted attention or dealing with the smell and insects of open compost piles. Modern homesteaders can replicate this simply by drilling several dozen holes in a metal drum or large bucket, burying 2/3 of it, and adding scraps in weekly layers. In tight urban spaces, this is one of the fastest ways to build soil while keeping your operations stealthy. The final forgotten hack was the method families used to preserve cloth durability through ash water strengthening. Laundry soap shortages push many households to wash clothes using lye water made from hardwood ashes. But beyond cleaning, women discovered that rinsing certain fabrics, especially linen and hemp, in a diluted ash solution actually tightened the fibres. The alkaline water caused the fibres to contract slightly, giving worn garments extended life and greater resistance to tearing. This isn't something you'll find in common wartime manuals, but diaries and rural testimonies confirm it was used in Scandinavia and Eastern Europe. The modern version is straightforward. Take a cup of hardwood ash, mix it with a gallon of hot water, let it sit overnight, then strain out the solids. Dip linen or hemp garments in the solution for a short 10-minute rinse, then wash them normally. The result is a noticeably firmer fabric, which is valuable if you rely on workwear or gear that needs to hold up under stress. These 5 hacks survived only in fragments: personal journals, oral histories, and the habits of families who had no choice but to innovate. For survivalists today, each one is more than a historical curiosity. These are practical techniques with modern utility, and the more you study them, the more you understand how people truly lived and adapted during one of the most resource-strapped periods in modern history. If you found this valuable and want more rare, deeply researched content like this, make sure you subscribe to the Legacy of Survival channel, share this video with someone who loves history as much as you do, and keep exploring the knowledge that kept past generations alive.